Of all the VCRs that I've worked on lately, this is probably the most trouble that I've had with one. And this is the chassis for a Mitsubishi HS-U560. And it has been completely taken apart. I'll show you the front of it here. So this is the front bezel here. And it's probably the most striking wording on the front here is that perfect tape that appears there. And of course it has the jog shuttle control over here on the side. But yeah, this one's been kind of a pain. And I knew that it needed a belt. And I tried to replace the belt simply by squeezing one into the space that I could reach into and putting it together with a piece of shrink tubing. But it almost sounded like a movie projector when it was loading the tape. So luckily it needed two belts, so I had to take it apart and get to it, and I can replace it. So that's this one right here is the one that I've replaced properly by taking it apart. There was a little window at the bottom of the VCR that you could see this belt, but it was kind of a pain. Obviously, this end of the belt here is completely encased because there's a rod at each side. So this part here has to be pulled out of its casing here in order to get the belt off, and then it snaps back in like that. So that was belt number one, and the original belt was made of goo. At least it became goo as time went on. So that piece right there just snaps right back into place. That's belt number one. Belt number two goes from here. This is the bottom of the video head, which also, well, maybe it isn't the bottom. This is the bottom of the video head. So this is just a direct drive motor right here, and here's at the bottom of your video drum. So I need a belt to go from here to here, and what I'm using as belts came from this kit. This is a SKBKO 347. And it replaces 199347 of belts. And of course, this is for an RCA VCR. And it has all kinds of belts in it. So I got this kit off eBay, and I got like a whole bunch of them. I think I got like 5 or 6 in a pack. And I can use 2 of the belts out of this kit to fix this VCR. So the rest of my belts I keep in a box. So I've always got lots of spare belts to play with. So whenever I get something that needs to be repaired, I can just go through this large thing of belts and try to find one that fits. So from this collection here, I am going to pull a belt out and stick it on there. And I think it's going to be this one. Obviously you can't see this one. So is it this one? Nope, it is too big. So there was also goo on this thing on the inside. So there was goo around this wheel here, and there was goo around here, and just some alcohol on a piece of cotton. I use an old t-shirt usually when I do those, and that usually does the trick. Let's see if this belt is good. So that's better, but not quite. It's a little bit thick. This is like a projector belt or something. At least it could be. All right, I'm going to dig around here until I find me a belt that'll fit. So although it's a little thick, it appears as though the projector type belt that I mentioned earlier is the one we'll have to use. The one in this SKB kit is going to be too long, which would have been this belt that you see here going around the outside of that plastic bag. So let's go with that. And so unlike my other videos where I usually start out showing you the front of the VCR and then getting it into its operations, this one we're going to go in reverse. So I'm going to go ahead and put this thing back together, and you can see how it goes back into the chassis. How does that sound? So here's the inside of the VCR, and it's kind of naked without all of the mechanics there in the middle, I would say. There is this unique little connector here. There's one here and one here that are on the bottom of this unit So you can see, yeah, there they are. So there's there, and those are going to snap into that space there. And of course you have your sensors here. So if you've ever wondered where the sensors are that sense whether or not there's a tape in the mechanism, the light is emitted here and is picked up by these from all the way across the inside of the unit. So those are going to slip down into a couple of little slots on the side. You'll see there's one here that looks kind of like a triangle. So one goes up in there and looks across through the tape to the other side. And yeah, there's the other one right there that also goes in there. So if you want to get up close and personal here, I can kind of let you look around the bottom of this. So the tape goes in here. So your tape enters there and is loaded around into this mechanism. And it's kind of like a 3D model, isn't it? Some amplification circuitry there, I would assume. And there's your VCR video head there. And loading mechanism over there. And we can look at some more of the loading mechanism gearing right here. This is what helps pull the tape into the machine and drop it on there. It uses this I don't know, it's like a drawer or a gate, something that pulls that in there. And there's some gearing there that helps to pull the supply spindle and the take-up spindle. There's your audio head for picking up linear audio as well as the sync track. Kind of give you a little bit better view of that, plus all those little pins that help pull the tape into the mechanism. All right. So kind of a unique opportunity to kind of twirl around inside of here, knowing that you can't do this unless the chassis is pulled out of the VCR, right? Okay, let's put it in there, put it back together. First thing I noticed as I'm putting it back together, hey, I've got some extra screws. These go somewhere. They actually go here. So there's a screw that goes here on this mechanism there. And man, I'm getting a lot of grease on my hands from this thing. I guess from the underside down here around all of this nonsense. So our second screw, I believe, goes here. And then our third screw goes up here on the top left. So there is that little booger put back on there. So we'll pull this out of the way, put this back up into place here, and there are screws that protrude from the bottom, and I think you can see them there and there, somewhere in that area, that have to be put back on. So this drops down in there. Okay. And then this one little plug goes right back onto the board down here on the far right. Now we have to figure out where those screws went on the bottom, and I think I remember them now because there's two. So we'll flip it over. Yeah, you can see there's one there and one there. Sorry, I'm looking up at the camera to see that I've pointed to the right place. So we're going to drop one in there, drop one in there, and of course it dropped in there all right. Dropped in there in the wrong place. Oh no, I got that gooey junk all over my screwdriver. Oh, that's just wonderful. Well, at least it'll have some stickiness now. Ugh. Mitsubishi, why on earth did you use gooey belts in your VCRs? You guys are crazy. Just have to set that down like that. And then that one goes back in there. Although that doesn't appear to hold it to the chassis for some reason. Alright, I've made a mess of myself here, so let me go get cleaned up. Alright, our next step is to put some screws back on that connect to the chassis. I got most of that gunk off my hands, as you can see here, but this VCR is just a sticky, gooey, icky mess. So there's a screw that goes on the back end back here, and it has a little rubber piece with it. I'm surprised it hasn't turned into goo. So we're going to go ahead and put this screw in first on this back side. So that screws down there. Oh yeah, I remember. There's a couple of screws that insert from the top too. So one of those screws was bigger than, there was three. So again, there's one here, there's one here, and then there's one on the back here. The one that's on the back here is the bigger one of the three. So I had to swap those screws out. That was why the other one wouldn't go in. And of course I can't touch this thing without getting more of this goo on myself. There's two screws that go down in through the top here. I'm going to move the camera down a little. So if you work on one of these, make sure you have a magnetic screwdriver so that you can get those screws back down in there. Second one goes down in through here. It's like playing Operation, you know. You gotta put the little bone, take the little bones out without touching the sides, or a little buzzer goes off. Luckily that doesn't happen with these VCRs, or it would probably freak me out. Okay, so good grief, one of the sources of this nonsense is right here. Apparently I transplanted some of the goo from the bottom to the top there. Alright, so the VCR is plugged in. We got our little connectors up there plugged in nicely. So I think we can get it to a point where we can test it. I'll go ahead and put the front bezel back on. Move the camera up so you can see this operation. So here's the front of the unit with the bezel removed, and goes off to the left here, and there's a little light sticking up out of the top there. So this just snaps back on. Pull those off. So this snaps on like that. And there's some little hooks that go all the way around it that have to be unhooked. And then the little knobs here go on like that. There we go. And then another one that goes on like that. Here we go. And now you can see the front and see that there's a little door there and a little door that pulls down here. It's got some controls in it. Remote VCR A and B. So I guess if you wanted to have two of these, and you could make copies, and then there's perfect tape there, which I'm not sure what that button does. Maybe it helps you make perfect recordings, perhaps. All right. So I think we're ready to give her a run here. So let me get some stuff plugged in, and we'll give it a shot. So you're going to watch this with me for the first time. I have not rehearsed this VCR to see if it works prior to hitting the record button. So here we go. We're going to put a tape in and see what happens. And we appear to be back in business. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, wherever the button is on the front here. It's amazing how we can turn goo into awesomeness, right? So let's go. I'm going to hit the stop button here. I don't think there's anything on this tape. And like the VCRs you've seen on my channel, this one also likes to keep the tape wrapped around the video head while you're fast forwarding and rewinding, which I think is ridiculous. But hey, you got that speed going on there. You also have the little pinch roller that rides up and down on a lift there. Saw that in another one of my videos. I'm going to go ahead and hit play there. So this is that tape I used in that time-lapse VCR. You can see it over here on the monitor coming up there. So I'll have to get a commercial tape here to throw in there. Let's see if we can get it to work. So let's go ahead and eject this tape. Alright, just make sure I had my light on there, which I do. This tape is a national tape, so I think this is from overseas somewhere, at least away from the United States. It's an E180 Super HD. Look at that. It is Super HD, and it has this gorgeous picture on the front, which is also in HD. So that assures you that your videos are going to look exactly like that, at that super high definition quality. And I don't know, maybe that wording there would give it away as to where it came from. I'm thinking like, I don't know, India or something. I don't know. I'm not good at recognizing foreign languages, but here, maybe some of you guys out there can read that. Here, focus. There we go. Super heavy duty cassette. Found this at a yard sale a couple years back. All right, back focus again. Okay, so I've got a copy of Back to the Future 2 up here on my shelf. There she is. Oh no, it's 3. Back to the Future 3. Let's throw that in there. See if it'll play. And yep. And maybe it's going to think about it before it does it. Nope, it's actually going to wait for me to hit play. So here we go. Play. And we'll go up and see what the picture quality looks like up on the monitor. There on the left. Forgive the awful mess of my workbench here. You can pause the video and look at all the junk that I have here laying around. So there's the FBI warning. There's the Universal MCA logo here at the beginning of the tape. Looks pretty good. Let's see if we can do some special effects here. I'm going to turn the jog shuttle dial just slightly. And slightly more. Wow, it's flying now. And here's like insanely fast. Alright, I'm putting it back into its middle position here. Now let's go in reverse. And super reverse. It's pretty good. That's pretty sweet effect there to be able to go that fast through the movie. Alright, let's see what that mechanism looks like when it's doing that crazy stuff. I want you guys to see how fast that goes. So let's get a little more light here first. Alright, with a little light added on the subject, I'm going to go ahead and hit play. So there's normal playback speed, and then I'm going to turn the jog shuttle just slightly. And then I'm going to keep turning it far to the right. Wow, that's like almost fast forward speed as you're watching the tape. That's insane. Let's go back in the other direction. Huh. That's pretty crazy. Alright, let's try regular rewind. See how fast it goes. Whoa! It goes so fast it just kind of jumps off of the track there. Alright, let's try fast forward. Whoa ho ho, look at her roll. It's like super mega fast. You can see it flying across this mechanism here. Video head still rolling. Pretty crazy. All right, let's go the other way. Stop. Rewind. There we go. It's got that smart mechanism that we've seen before where it revs it up and down. Well, it revs it down when it gets closer to the beginning so it doesn't like rip the tape off the end of the spool. So I don't know how old this VCR is. I'm going to guess it was probably made in the 90s, maybe early 90s, maybe mid 90s perhaps. Not entirely sure. Of course, there's some numbers on the front of here that may give it away. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Doesn't look like a date code, although it might be a date code. Yeah, there's a 9531 on that transformer there, so maybe it was made in 95. Could be. Alright, so let's hit the eject button again over here on the side. And, oh yeah, you might want to see the display on the front of here. Here, I'm going to turn the light out and show you the display on the front. It's pretty cool. So although the fluorescent display has faded a little bit in its old age, it has some pretty cool stuff going on there. So there's my play. And let's see, fast forward. So we got our hours, minutes, and seconds going on there. And let's get some audio. There we go. Decibel meters. Oh yeah. It's too cool. So yeah, again, it's pretty well faded. Doesn't hardly show off at all, but it is hi-fi stereo. And it appears to be tracking just fine. It's got a really good pause on it too. Go up here and show you that. There's pause. It's pretty nice. Nice and clean. Yep. So with a couple of belts replaced on this guy, he is ready for another 10,000 miles of playback. Not too bad. And let's go ahead and eject the tape. And there she is. So again, with a little bit of love and a couple of new belts, she is ready to go again. And as we said, get some more mileage out of her. There's our front input there, and DST, daylight savings time. Is that what that means? And our little input button there, so we can go from L1, L2, channel 3. Just strange that it just goes crazy there and makes all that noise. And then got some buttons under here. Yeah, we showed you this earlier. I'd really like to know what that perfect tape button does. Maybe somebody out there can answer that. You got your one key program. There's what comes up on the screen when you hit it. Looks pretty good. And our pause, fast forward, rewind, which I did with the shuttle here. And then this changes the channel. Actually, it's adjusting the display at this point. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this little repair project. I paid $6 for this VCR at Goodwill, and I think that's a good price for a VCR that doesn't work. And threw a couple belts in, she's ready to go. The Mitsubishi HS-U560. If you have one of these or have had one in the past and want to leave some comments, please do. Please subscribe, share with a friend, leave some likes, and thank you for watching.